What's up YouTube, it's Louis here, bringing you today's cryptocurrency video. Let's dive into Trias. Thank you for your support, thank you for 1,000 subscribers, and thank you for the likes. Perfect. So, I think yesterday I put Trias on here. Of course on TradingView, this is the only Trias chart, but we don't know that I actually started off up here. So I'm going to completely ignore that. I'm just going to look at the perfect bottom and ignore these massive wicks as well. So I'm going to take it from here to here, and you can see that we made 0.618 and we got back above it. You didn't back test it as support, but anyway, if you lose this low, that's your bear market. But there's some precursors to if you lose even higher supports like this one up here. If you do lose this support, it's high likelihood that you're going to come down to here basically. So you might want to think about your positions if we do lose this on the daily time frame, like a candle closure and then back test it as resistance, depending on the momentum. If it's high momentum, then you might not even back test it as resistance. If you close, let's say down here for example, you might come back up, but it might not come back exactly all the way up to it. So if you lose the 382 slash this swing low over here, so I'm going to draw a box for that. So if we lose this zone, the $6.50 to $7 zone, then of course think about your positions, because at the moment you have a low, you have a high, you have a higher low and a higher high. So you should theoretically make a higher low and then a higher high, and the next higher high would be above this basically. Your higher low, look at the bodies over here. Low is much higher than that low, so it's looking a-okay. Let's check the RSI. So actually when we bottomed out here in September, on the RSI, you weren't even in the oversold territory. You were below the midpoint, but you weren't below 30 basically, or near the oversold territory. Over here in July, you actually hit it, but you can see that up here you had a bounce which was at the midpoint. Over here, just below the midpoint, you had a nice bounce. On the midpoint over here, which is over here, you had a nice bounce. And so now you've lost that midpoint on the RSI. You've come all the way to that oversold territory, just like just 2 points off the 2.85 points off the 30 territory, which is your complete oversold territory, which means that we want to see an impulsive way to the upside. So on the RSI you're getting lower lows, but actually on the chart you're getting higher lows. So this is just bullish divergence basically. So what I do want to see now is, of course, for us to get above the 200 EMA, which I spoke about yesterday. I think we were up about, I don't know where we were, but we came back and tested that exactly as support. So this is very positive. It's just basically showing you that this 200 EMA slash $10 is your true support. So I like to see that. It's very positive, because I gave you this in my first Trias update because of this swing high over here. I was saying if we do lose that swing low over here, this would be a perfect entry point over here. But of course, if you lose that rollover and then lose this low over here, this is the most key level that you want to see held. You can come down to it, but as long as it holds, we're still in a bull market. If you do lose that, we are going to come back down to this 0.618, and that's where I'd say, yeah, you might as well, obviously not financial advice, think about your positions, think about selling, because you don't want to take another 57% hit from losing this low, because from the top over there, that would be a loss of 89%, getting into bear market territory already. So you could basically even say that this was, because look how much minus it did, minus 92%. So you don't want to come back down there again basically, because that would be a lower high, and then if you lose that, a lower low, and that would be a daily, weekly and probably monthly bear trend, which lasts months to years basically. So we don't want to see that at all whatsoever. So as long as you're above the 382 slash this pink line, purple line, whatever you want to call it, we're good for continuation to the upside, because you still are printing higher lows. So I'm going to get the fibs out right now. I'm going to measure from this low to this high. So of course if you lose this low, you got target down here at the 1.618, and that's sitting at exactly pretty much that wick over there. So $2.50 basically. As long as you're above $2.50, we should continue on. Well, basically, because you're basically printing higher lows. But of course, if you lose this, we're reversing the trend. The fact that you are below the 0.618, I don't like, but you have held the 0.786, which is positive, and since then you did get back above the 200 and the 618, but you lost the 618 because you are coming down to retest this support, which you have done now, the 10 and the 200 EMA. So as long as we can get back above that 0618, I don't expect further downside. Of course, hit your head on it, and I expect further downside to this swing low at $6.50. Lose that, and basically we're going to have a further 55% drop from this point down to here, where I would just say, guys, exit your positions, not financial advice, and then obviously look for better entries, whether we do have the bounce down here or we continue to these lower down targets down here. But I'm not going to speak about them at the moment. Those targets, basically your bear market targets, this would be your minimal bear market target once you lose this low, or this is your minimal target once you lose this low, and then if you do lose that, these would be your targets down here. Very negative. But again, guys, as long as you're above $6.50, or as long as you're printing higher lows above $2.50, we should see higher lows and retrace to the top, because that's what we're doing. We had this large falling wedge over here, and basically when you print higher lows, it's basically telling you that you're eventually going to get to the top. We've met every single resistance point here, 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 met this one, and the only one we haven't met is up here. So of course, just before you get up there, you're retracing. As long as we stay above this, we're eventually going to go up there, break the top, and of course continue on higher. So let me give you some targets to the upside. So let's take that as your bottom, because that was your July low. And if we can get back above $12, obviously right now you've hit it as resistance, which means you're going to roll over probably to the 050 again, sitting at $8.97. I would like a wick down to there, and then holding the 10 and the 200 EMA before continuing up, getting back above that 0618. And if you can do that, minimal target is $31. But I'm going to give you guys this target over here. This would be my target for Trias, sitting at $153. That is as long as you can get back above $12 and confirm that support. Let's take a look at the 4H time frame, see if there's anything there before we head off. So yesterday I gave you this double bottom, which we broke out of, technical target validated, and then you lost the support, so that invalidated the target again. So now we have a new double bottom / potential ascending triangle, even using this low over here. So you could come all the way to this apex. That is what, 12th of December. So this could go on for another 4 days, but usually you do get the decision beforehand. And I'll give you some bearish targets out of this as well. So as long as I'm going to ignore this wick, I'm going to take it from here to here. And if we can break above, $12.87, then I do see us heading to $17.22. Bearing in mind that we need to back test this as support and hold that. If you do lose that as support, you're going to fall back into this, potentially holding this ascending support. And as long as you're in this bullish pattern, you're going to break to the upside. But if you do lose this support and then basically lose this low down here, I'm going to give you some bearish targets to the downside. So measuring from your swing low to your swing high, because we are now coming down. We know that this is the top because it started coming down. And at the moment, look at that for some perfect confluence. At $10, which is the level I've been talking about for a while now, that is where that 0618 is sitting. So I'm just going to make that exactly $10. So as long as we're above $10, which is the 0618, we should be using the fibs as a retracement tool. You have a push, exhaustion, continuation, and that would be to in and around here, because that's your technical target out of the ascending triangle that we're seeing here, or the double bottom basically. But if you do lose this low, let's say if you do lose the bodies there, not even the one, if you just lose the bodies over there, it's a higher likelihood that you're going to create a reversal wave and come to that 1618, which is also already given to you the $6.50 line, which was that larger 0382 basically. So we now have met multiple confluences to the fact that this key level, this key support that we cannot afford to lose whatsoever, is going to be back tested as support, or should hold up basically. If you do lose that low, that's where you're going to come down to basically. That's your minimal target. Of course you have these lower down targets, but until you lose that, I'm not going to give you this. And until you lose that, you're not going to come to any of these in the first place. As long as you're holding that 0618, we're going to continue up. So let's take that this over here is the bottom out of this retracement to the downside. So if that is your bottom there, How do we know it's the bottom? We just need to start seeing it go up. Until then, obviously it can roll further, and then we'd have to adjust this to wherever the bottom is. But at the moment, I'm just going to go off what I see in the chart, and this is what the chart is giving me at the moment. Since that wick, you've been printing higher wicks basically. So if we can see Trias get above $11.62, so now we can make this a resistance, a zone basically. As long as we can see Trias get above $11.62, we should have a technical target sitting at the 1618, and you can see that we've got actually a technical target sitting at the 2 out of this larger ascending triangle. So I hope you understood today's Trias update. I know it was a bit long, but I had to be thorough with it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you guys for your support. Thank you for your likes. Thank you for your subscriptions, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.